So we are up to Kuf Pei Dalid Sif Tes. Really, we didn't learn Sif Ches together. So just to point out one ha'ara, I'm not going to develop this ha'ara fully, just something to keep in mind for all those who are proficient in Arachayim and were bothered that in Sif Ches, we learned the halacha that a woman is bepachad and has unique halachis. So there's a Magen Avram in Siman Gimel. Siman Gimel, Sif Katan Yud Dalid. And the Magen Avram is very bothered that over there in Siman Gimel, it's talking about a person using the bathroom. And when one uses the bathroom, he's not allowed to be oichzasai ba'ama. He's not allowed to touch himself while using the bathroom. But says the Shulchan Aruch, but if he's standing on top of a cliff, and therefore he's afraid that he's going to fall, he's bepachad, then there's no problem to be a chzasei ba'ama, because we're not worried it's going to bring l'dei hira, l'dei kisher, l'dei anything, because he's bepachad. Frekter beis yosef, that what's the sheer pachad that this is mutter by? So the Magen Avram is bothered that why over there is the beis yosef unsure of the sheer pachad, and by us seemingly it's like a davar pashit, a woman's a pachad, she's in this cave or whatever's going on over here, and we let things go on. Just a thought-provoking question, and just to give one teretz. So what's the obvious teretz? Everyone here knows. What's the obvious teretz? Everyone here doesn't know? Awkward?
Very different sugyas.
No, you're thinking too much. I'm talking about obvious teretz. No.
Yeah.
It's a din d'Rabbanan here. The vessel is d'Rabbanan, ikilu. No, that's obvious teretz. It's chashash zer levatala. The Zayir says the whole world is shaking, and who knows? It's worse than it's right. So that's ayin sham. So again, that's I think the Magen Avram Grad over there says that teretz. That's why it's gishmak. Just one other interesting idea is the suga b'sheishanim sefer Nachznida brings out this question, and he doesn't like the question because he says that by us, it's a mitzias. It says that she is in a level of pachad that she's going to be losing her dam. So if she's in that level of pachad that she's losing her dam, then yeah, if not. Something to think about. The Aruch Lener says, Gishmak, and this will conclude, says the Aruch Lener, come on, where's all my macho men? Says the Aruch Lener, when it comes to a man, so as you were saying, very good. When it comes to a man, there's Aruch Lener's teretz in Bracha Istafiu Gimel Amid Aleph Tivur Maskal Hachanami. Says the Aruch Lener, when it comes to a man, not every man gets scared of heights standing on top of a mountain. When it comes to a woman, they're all scared, and therefore it's more common. That's just a nice in Sif Ches. Everything else we spoke about, and obviously we mentioned the nikuda that you have to always weigh in the type of pachad, and we can't be quick to jump like, there's an air raid siren, as we pointed everyone to the Pislei Tshuva in, where was it, in Kuf Pei Ches? I think it was in, or maybe Kuf Pei Hey, I don't remember. Okay, today's sugya really is Sif Tes, Bedikos. Bedikos biyoyim, Bedikos yom HaVest. So, Veshe Nikavua. Let's start with Veshe Nikavua. The whole day today, we're going to have to really go back between Veshe Nikavua and Ves Kavua. Veshe Nikavua, Ves Kavua. And I'm going to try my hardest not to get confused, although it's that type of sugya that you could easily get confused. But again, the basic halacha that you all saw is Avra Vesta V'lei Badka. What is the din? She's not Tameya. Why is she not Tameya? Because we paskin Vesta is Dirabanan. This goes back to the beginning of Kuf Pei Daled. And therefore, if the Yom HaVest passes and she did not do Bedika, she's not Tameya. However, she'll be allowed to be with her husband. That's going to depend whether it's a Ves Kavua or a Ves She'enoi Kavua. If it's a Ves She'enoi Kavua, you have a Din Bedika on the Yom HaVest, as the Shulchan Aruch itself says. What is that din badika? How we fulfill that din badika, we'll get to in a moment. But if the day of the vest passes, what's the din? Mutaris. But by a vest kavua, for example, says the Shulchan Aruch, a vest kavua that every woman, well, not every woman, most women from what we learned so far, every woman has, is an Aina Beinanis of a vest of Leibatka. What's the din? Asura ad shetivdoik. Is what I just said correct? No. Because what I said is correct only for a moment after the vest. Comes along the Shach, quoting a Bach, and says by a vest kavua, what happens if over a vest of loy badka? You have to do baidika miyad. Takef is his lashon, right? What's the lashon? Takef or miyad? Which one does he say? Miyad. If not, then what's the din? Asura. So let's start just to let's open up the floodgates right away. The lashon here it is. V'abach pasak. Diyesh lahachmer kemaskanas hamordechai. V'shem dereim u'ksevar chumo kagoyis shach v'shem smak. Dedavka bebodka atzum miyad la'achar vesta toich shir vesta. Now, what exactly is the amount of time? I do not know. The Paiskim, it's one of these unclear points. But one thing I do know is that if it's a full day later, it's for sure not Teich Zman Vesta. That's for sure. That certainly can't be. If it's 2 days later, certainly cannot be Teich Zman Vesta. That is the Chumrah of the Bach, that the Shach quotes as it, like it's normative halacha. It gets worse. There are Moshe Feinstein again. Yeridei Chelik Dalet Simin Yud Zayin. It's all the same tshuvas over there, and the Chelik Gimel and the end of Simin Nun says, if you didn't loy bodka b'zman HaVest, te'asura kashach shemasik deloy kabeis Yosef el kabach tiyesh lahachmir kemaskanas hamordechai. So writes Rav Moshe Feinstein, your Oina Beinanis passes. Let's make this very lamaisa. Day 30 passes. Let's just make it simple. You wake up on day 33 and you realize, shoot, what's the din? Asura. She's a nida. Start your 5 days. Start your 7 days. Go to the mikvah and kol tov. Oh, that's a good question. When would she start 5 from? In this scenario that I just said, because she did not know that she was ulcer, l'chayr, you're going to have to start it from that moment. You're not going to be able to start it back then because unless she knew it was Reina Beinis. You have to know the case. Each case can be different. If she knew Monday is Reina Beinis, let's just go with 30, 31. We're going to have to talk about. But let's just pretend Monday is day 30. So she knows Monday she's Aser. She doesn't do Badika on Monday. She doesn't do Badika on Tuesday. And Wednesday she wakes up. She's out. When do you start? I would actually say Wednesday because Tuesday she was Mutaris. She thought. Obviously it's all one big mistake. That's the Shach. That's Bach. That's Rav Moshe. What's Allah Lamaisa? So of course, let's just for those to give us a drop of background. Of course, this is the Gemara needed Daf Zayin that you all saw. Isha Shish Laves. I know I'm going backwards just for a moment to fill in the gaps. The Yeshas Veselo Bodka, Elusaif Bodka. We have numerous shitas in the Gemara. This boils down to a machlekes Rishainim. Who are the Rishainim? The Mekilim are the Rif, the Rambam, and the Ran. Who are the Machmirim, the Yereim? Just something to know about the Yereim. The word Yereim means he's afraid. That's literally what the word is. And Kimat, wherever you're going to find the Yereim, he's being Machmir. The Yereim was very, very scared. And the Yereim says, his lashon is Samchinun alayu ki'ilu hein daraisa. He says the way that we view this halacha by Bodka Zman HaVest, over Zman HaVest, it's ki'ilu to din daraisa. So you're going to be Temeya, and that's the Shach, and that's Rav Moshe, and that's the Bach. However, Roiv, Rishainim, and Achrainim say not this way, and they all say that what's the halacha? This is the Ramah already. Well, I'm sorry. Oh, so we'll get you all those right now. This is the Ramah that already says Asura ad shetivdaik v'achinag. So l'chayra Asura ad shetivdaik v'achinag. What does that mean? That means that ad shetivdaik he doesn't qualify it, and the Graz already speaks out explicitly. The Sidri Tayyib. We'll read the Graz. Afil lobodka ad achar zman meruba. Then that's going to be okay. The Chachmas Adam says Asura ad shetivdaik v'cheinikar. Darach shulchan v'achinag afilu la'achar zman meruba im bodka v'nimsa tahira harei hi tahira. As well as the Badi Shulchan, you also says the Loika Bach and every other Heintige Sefer out there all says that is the halacha. And that is the halacha. That is the halacha. However, throughout probably one of the biggest tales of what we're going to hear today is that there's a lot of unique cases that often those are the cases that people get tripped up by, we'll call it. And there's often unique heterim. What do I refer to? And this is going to be case number 1, and we're going to have this a few times today. What happens if she was pregnant? What happens if she's pregnant? Meaning, Aina Beinanis came and gone, and now she wakes up a month later. She's like, oh my gosh, Aina Beinanis? She's like, right, Aina Beinanis was Monday. When my period didn't come, this woman always sees her period pretty fast. She did a pregnancy test. She realized she was pregnant. She never did a bedika. She wakes up a month later and she's like, oh shoot, I never bedika after my anabedness. What do I do now? What do I do now? So, l'chayra, based on what we just said, a surat shetivdaik, right? You should have to do a bedika. But on the other hand, this is ridiculous because she's pregnant, so what's the point of the bedika? So this is something that, interestingly enough, the Chutshani is machmir on. He says, no, there's a din. Zui Takanas Chazal, which I think everyone here who learned the text should say like the Chutshani. This is Takanas Chazal, that the Baya Bedika, Umahani Bedika, Gam Achar Yom HaVest, as we quote from the Aruch HaShulchan, as we quote from the Graz, Shulchan Aruch Harav, Afilu Zman Ruba, and that's it. However, some of the Heintika Achrayim, there's a sefer quotes Rav, I think his name is Rav Shammai Zimmerman, Shapsi Zimmerman, from Eretz Yisrael, and he says no. And he says a very simple svara, because let's say she would ask us, should she do a bedika? What would we answer her? Meaning, if a woman is pregnant, what's her story with Vestas? We sort of skipped over that sif, but we know something. We know that there's a point that the whole thing's over, right? Whatever, we have to learn the sugya, but whatever that point is, why? Because we don't want to do a bedika right now. So he says, l'chayra, that would be the same din over here. I'll just point out the Shaila of Rav Shlomo Zalman, the Shaila of Rav Shlomo Zalman Arbach, he says, which now we're about to get to, the Heilige HaVest Das is Meich. So this is going to be our segue into there. Is that, says Rav Shlomo Zalman, you're doing a bedika a month later, forget pregnancy, okay? Day 35, okay? What's halach lamais? Okay, so the Shach is Machmir, we said Aruch HaShulchan, the Graz are all Mekel, right? So we let her do a bedika on day 35. Does it help doing a bedika day 35? Well, you're not finding blood from day 30 and day 35. And the whole time you were sitting there, he says, says, very nice, he says, you think the blood is sticking inside there for 5 days? Well, what exactly is going on? He says, oh, yeah, that's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're talking about.
No, but it's the same. So for the same reason that she doesn't have to do.
No, but there the Shlomo Zalman says, and this is going to be a very important line. But lamaisa, there's a din d'Rabbanan to do a bedika, so you have to fulfill your din d'Rabbanan. Right. Well, let's take a shower. Taking a shower is a world war. Please, let's not bring the shower onto the table. Not a world war.
No, we saw him as a I thought that would wipe away any dam and you wouldn't help.
So it's a big problem. Oh, so you're passing no showers in day HaVest?
Or is that
I'm saying after.
It was Zaynakiyim. Very good.
Wipe away the dam, so
half the month. Baruch Hashem, you save a lot of water.
No, I'm saying it would also be a case instead of 35, even day 32, she took a bath.
Okay, good. You're making another case. Okay, fine. Say there. But again, what I wanted to bring up from Shlomo Zalman is that he says over here, l'maisa you have a chiv bedika, and that chiv was ain't a nekar. Your chiv didn't go anywhere, and you have to fulfill your chiv, and therefore you're going to do the bedika. It might not make any sense, but you have this chiv bedika, and this is now going to take us. I understand that there are points that are not clear right now. Listen. 1 second, let's get there. Which l'chayra would be the same thing 3 months later. Lulaya svara, that if someone is pregnant, now that takes care of her chiv bedika perhaps, because, okay, fine, very good. Now, tachlis, how many bedikas on the day of the vest? How many bedikas day of the vest? This is a world war. Right now, no bedikas day of the vest. Okay, so that's it, after the whole sugya, we're throwing it all away. So first of all, so I don't know if I say your name in public. I'm not going to say your name in public, but it's saying no bedikas day of vest. But on a Veshet and Kavua, the Beis Yosef already is mal the tzad, right? The Beis Yosef in test 2. Beis Yosef already said that's what you were just reading before. Ein tzricha bedika b'yom havest. Ein tzricha bedika b'yom havest. And there's a part that's Ramayim says the same thing. Okay, Lamaisa, I just mentioned that for fun facts. What? Veshet and Kavua. We're in Veshet and Kavua now. Okay, that was basically Vesh Kavua, but it's gonna have to keep on coming back. But okay, let's pause and let's just remind ourselves. Psak halacha, ayna beinanis, bedika. You missed the bedika, asura. What do you have to do? Do the bedika. Period. I have to mention the reason I mentioned that case of pregnancy. It's a very common case, and as we're going to see in a moment, it's also going to be a common case. It's going to be birth control. It's going to be a very similar case. And we didn't learn this sugya whether pregnancy and birth control wipes away vestais, but it does something. Let's just leave that floating in the air for a moment. It does something. So now it comes in a baitiness, and everyone knows, okay, in a baitiness, and then like they forget and they wake up 2 weeks later and it's like, oy vey, what do I do now? So based on the text that you learned, it's not game over, you do a bedika now, but the question usually comes when they start spotting. It's just, that's just what happens. And then it's a mess because she can't do bedika now, but she has to do bedika now, and etc. So these are ideas we're gonna iron out more. I'm just saying that idea that maybe the pregnancy would wipe away a vest, and therefore we don't have to worry about it, even though she had a chiyuv, might be something very chashuv, very important. Let's get back there. B'siyata d'shmaya. Okay, so now we're back into vesha ina kavua. Okay, we're in vesha ina kavua, and the psak halacha, of course, is she needs a bedika b'yam vest, as really the Shulchan Aruch already says. And as all the Achrayim point out, is afilu ena kavua. We'll read the words of the Aruch HaShulchan, Be'isha sheyadu, and of course, the reason why this detail is not so simple in the Shulchan Aruch is really based on that shach that you all saw, is based on the stira in Shulchan Aruch. How do we reconcile Isha Shein Levest, Asurat Shetivdok, she has to do Bedika, she's Aser. What's the case? First time of her life, 7 different Mahalchim had to learn over there. That's the reason, if you're wondering, like, isn't it Pashat Shulchan Aruch? It's not really Pashat Shulchan Aruch. But either way, the Aruch HaShulchan is Pashat, as well as all the Achrayim. Isha Sheyadua Shein Levest Kavua, Lechatchila, Saricha Bedika, Be'ez, Vesta. She needs to do a bedika. Sefer Taras Yisrael, as we said, is the classical Kitzur Sefer, says she has to do a bedika. And Ramesha, of course, says she has to do bedika. And everyone says, okay, so she has to do bedika. Fine. How many times? How many bedikas? So does anyone remember, we've had this conversation, I don't know, maybe over the past few days, people here have had conversations. Does anyone remember what they were taught as chasanim? How many bedikas in Yom HaVest? You were taught 2, you were taught 2, you were taught 2? He wasn't a chassid.
I was taught none.
You were taught none. No one knows. Okay, so we were taught 2. And many people in this room were ma'arer that L'Loshen HaShulchan Aruch says tivdaik. So how many bedikas? So just to put the shitas in order, it sounds like what? 1. Sounds like 1. Yeah. Tivdaik. Okay. Okay, maybe.
Not even be 1. Maybe just check the toilet.
What's the problem? The problem is the HaVest Das. And the HaVest Das, already quoted by the Pislei Tshuva on the page, teaches us that a woman that has no kaviyas within the day, on an isha she'ein la ves kavua, with ein la isha kavua, she sees throughout the day, which is the most normal scenario, b'zman hazeh, says the HaVest Das, we're a meich. For how long? Just go and, yeah. That's a HaVest Das. And the question really that we have to come to answer is like, how's he wrong? Maybe he's not wrong. But no one here was taught a meich dachlik. So really, we sort of started answering this question, that there's somewhat this contemporary mitzias that we spoke about. Someone's by the door. Some of this contemporary mitzias that we spoke about. No problem. Sure, go for it. So, where are we holding? We were holding in how many bedikas, right? So we said that the other HaVest Das is a meich dachlik, right? HaVest Das is meich dachlik. And the question is, how do we like sort of reconcile this HaVest Das, which in fact we know. So we started off already with the fact that we know that Bizman Hazeh, we know that some level there was some mitzias change, right? We already spoke back that says the Gemara, says the Shulchan Aruch, what's lashon nashin amar belish livdei gereizim v'shubachlis. And we already said what's going on. We know that we say the opposite. It's mamayit in bedikas, and the way that we explained it basically was in many different mahalchim. But when the dust settles, is that at some level something must have changed. Something must have changed at some level. We quoted the art school book that said that women obviously are drier, and obviously women have a difficult time doing bedikas, and for whatever reason, that's where the ball drops. That tachlis is we're not doing multiple bedikas. The opposite. We're trying to get by at least halavai with what we need to get done. Now that's sort of the same reason why we're not going to go with this HaVest Das. Because if a woman's going to have to be put in a meich for 1, 2, 3 days of Revesh Shein Kavua, l'maisa, it seems that the mitzias is going to be is that they're all going to get a makkah, they're all going to start dam, but it's not really dam. So we're just going to make problems. So what do we do now? But we have a HaVest Das. So The answer sort of is to understand, and this is the Mahalach, I think that, the Achronim sort of come up with, and the one that I want to read, who I saw that says this the best, I'll find in a moment, that we have a Chiyuv Bedika. We have a Chiyuv Bedika, Shulchan Aruch. We have a Chiyuv Birer. What is the point of this Bedika? To ensure that this woman is not bleeding. That's here it is. Is good. We'll come back to this one moment. And we have a Chiyuv to ensure this woman's not bleeding. How do we do that? We can't do Maich. So what do? So we're going to do one Bedika, two Bedikas. Okay, good. Now we know where two Bedikas came from. Where do two Bedikas come from? You have the beginning of the day and you have the end of the day. And that is what many Achronim take on, is to do two Bedikas. Again, what we're trying to verify is that this is a day that there was no bleeding. More than that this is a day that if there was blood inside her body, we're going to find it. That's a simple way of saying it. And I like to read something from Rav Shmuel Felder. Rav Shmuel Felder from Lakewood, the Sefer Ezer L'Shulchan Nida, says something Gevaldik, which I think is really going to help us understand this sugya a lot. And again, I believe the Sefer is I don't believe it was his pen, I believe it's his shirim, but the ideas are there. He quotes a Nitziv. The Nitziv says in Sefer Mermi Asadeh, and this is a sefer on the Gemara, that Levair in you Bedikos Yom HaVest, right? We were all looking, like, give us something. What's this Bedikos Yom HaVest? And we never really found, we never really got to the bottom of it. We got to the HaVest Das, and we got that we're looking for Birur, and we got that the beginning of the day and the end of the day, and I'll tell you the names of the faces in a moment. But he quotes in Nitziv, which is very nice. Zeh l'shaynai, ha-bedika goyremes dechikas hamikar. The Bedika causes pushing, literally, of the makar. What does that mean? That's the words of the Nitziv. Explains of Shmuel Felder, Tahainu, she'im ha'ishay medis lirois dam, if a woman is about to see, what does that mean she's about to see, right? We all took biology classes 2 weeks ago. Shaharechem kvar moli dam. That means that the rechem is sitting there. The endometrial lining has shed. All the blood is sitting there. Now what do we do? And it's about to come out. Dam ba'isa yaim. Habidika ma'ireres hadam latzes. What's the bedika going to do? The bedika is going to be ma'ir. It's going to awaken. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. Because we're trying to say this is your time of seeing. Oh, very good. This is your time of seeing. So do a bedika. If the blood is there, givaldik, it's going to start coming. Ke'ein shematzinu. Similarly, we've seen a concept like this. Shetashmish garim biyistam. Similar, like we've seen that tashmish causes danu. Ke'ein zekasu kam achreinim levayer. This is again something to keep in the back of our minds. Eich moyel hefsik tayra techer achash rachs b'isamakim. We all know that hefsik tayra, you let to wash yourself and do bedika. Oy techer hefsik tayra acher shematzol of dam. And we all know, like, what that's ridiculous. You can do 22 hefsek tayras. The 23rd is clean, she has a chazaka. That's ridiculous. You sat there wiping, get rid of all the blood. Now you do a hefsek tayra clean. Parenthetically, never do that. Because if you did that, all you just did is you just ripped open the inside of this woman's body, and she's bivadai going to have many makas and be in excruciating pain, and it's not going to get a clean bedika. You never want to do that many bedikas. We'll get there. You want to do maybe 2, maybe 3, not 17. Okay, if you're using some sort of lotion, which is a shayla, and then maybe 2 or 3, something. I'm just saying, don't. You hear like, interesting. Tell your wife, everyone, let's just do 400 bedikas, and you'll never have a problem. Please, it's going to cause pain. So ulachein, that's what Rabbi Yehuda is saying. Gama bedika mochicha. I'm sorry, before what you were saying. So what does the bedika do? If there's dam, it causes it to come. Furthermore, everyone here was asking a question. One bedika, right? So we're going to say, okay, 2 bedikas l'chatchila, 1 bedika b'diavad. What's 1 bedika do for me? I have a Yom HaVest. Excuse me. The vest is during the day. I did a bedika early in the morning. I have another 10 hours of the day. What does that bedika 9 o'clock do for me? So now we can understand that the bedika helps also that I know she's not going to see dam. The kim shalmatza dam a lady bedika, since I didn't find any dam, vaday she'ina rechen oimi loiti dam b'karoiv. If the rechem was full of blood, it would have come. If it didn't come, that means what? The rechem is not full of blood. Ve'af bedikas shachris ma'ilu lazeh. Gevaldik, even one bedika. Why? Shezeh moichiach shaloi tira dam ba'isa mayim isa hayoim. Absolutely gevaldik. With that, we can understand the Chazon Ish. The Chazon Ish is quoted in two different, there's two Chazon Ishes, and we want to see it's in Yerdei Siman Pei, Sivkat and Chaf, and Sivkat and Chaf Beis. It's not clear whether the Chazon Ish holds one bedika or whether he holds multiple bedikas. And the Tzitz Eliezer in the Tshuva comes along and he's oimid on this point. What happened with the Chazon Ish? They're both his pen. So okay, so maybe some people will say the Chazon Ish is just the notes on the side of his Gemara, but he says the Lamash Chazon Ish Sham Bilchas Nida Matzich Boin HaVest Miyah Bedikas Pamayim, but Chilas HaVest Seifei Va'asher B'Chidushim B'Biurim Istamichlav. And then a different time they say only one. Nira David the Chazon Ish Chazar Boy Acher Mizeh Ki B'Sifra Al Baba Basri. He brings a raya from Baba Basri Goinis of the Tzitz Eliezer Sanhedrin Sham because of the Sagi B'Bedikas Ba'Oines HaVest Afilu Pam Achas. The Chazon Ish seemingly held Lamaskana, even one bedika is going to help. They quote Ramesha Feinstein as saying the same thing. So, one second. They quote Ramesha Feinstein saying the same thing. So now, we're not done yet because we still have this weighty HaVest das in the back of our brain. So let's continue a little bit. Let's continue a little bit further. Lamaisa two bedikas is also a very, I just told you the shittas of one bedika. Srai Devlitsky, the guy in Eretz in Yerushalayim, the Badia Shulchan, the Pri Taira, one of the foremost Kitzur Sfarim Minchas Nida Reforsheimer, the Oyel Sarah, they're all writing two bedikas, Shevet HaLevi, etc. So what exactly should we do to make this one step more complicated is that we come along and now we have this question of what about this HaVest das is Ma'ichdachak. So what l'chayr is the answer? Chayr, the answer is maybe the answer is underwear, as we've all spoken together about. Then maybe the answer is to.
Before about causing makas, that's not enough of an answer.
It might be enough of an answer, but if I have another reason, meaning this mahalach that we just quoted from Shmuel Felder is a gainis mahalach, but it's there's a Shulchan Aruch and all the places. No one's saying that. Maybe this is the underpinnings of the whole sugya. Maybe, and that's what he's writing, but. On the page, we have a HaVest das that says a Ma'ichdachik the whole day. The point of the Ma'ichdachik the whole day is to ensure that any point of this day she could have seen, and we're not getting that. So l'chayra, the way to answer that up is perhaps to wear a pair of underwear.
Would the Ma'ichdachik do the same thing as the bedika? As in, if the bedika would close down, the Ma'ichdachik sure close down, or no chance?
Yeah, the Matthias of Ma'ichdachik is yes, it's going all the way to the same place. Yeah. So, Ramesha Feinstein in the Tshuva, in Yerdei Chel Gimel Simem Ches, says, you know what the Eitzah is? To wear a pair of white underwear, the entire Oines HaVest, and then when you take it off, to do one bedika. Ramesha Feinstein in Tshuva Yerdei Chel Gimel Simem Ches, Rav Shimon Eider, in his Sefer Nilchos Nida, quotes Ramesha, and he says that in the Yom HaVest, she should wear underwear to labesh tachtainim levanim, white underwear, and with that will bring marviach the shita of the HaVest das. Now, does it have to be white? Now, everyone here said that they were taught two bedikas. They weren't taught white underwear. Many paiskim. I shouldn't say that. Now, this gets a little bit. Now we get into like the real heintige. Paiskish raid, white versus colored. Again, I did see that they said from Ray Berkowitz a very nice split, split. Someone get the door, please. A very nice split that they wanted to explain that there's going to be there's two things going on over here. And they wanted to say that for the din that we're looking for this HaVest das. For this HaVest das, we're going to be yotzei with even colored garments, with even colored. Why? Because there's two things going on over here. There's a chiyuv bedika, and then there's like this beer that the whole day there was no dam, right? Because the HaVest das is bringing up the point that one bedika is not going to do enough for you. So what do you need? Because you have to make sure the whole day there's going to be no blood. So what does the HaVest das say? HaVest das says put in a moich. Now, we said that's a little bit extreme. So we said, okay, what about a pair of underwear? So comes along, so they quote Ray Berkowitz in his Svarim that as saying something very nice. That really, you could just use a white pad, use something makabel tama, use synthetic underwear, use something that won't answer her, but it will give us the level of birur if there is some blood. Then we'll do a bedika b'seif hayoim, and we'll be mekayim all shitas, which is l'chayra a very nice chap that you. What's your question? No, Ramosha says levanim. Ramosha says lehedya in the tshuva to wear white undergarments. So they're saying b'shem Rei Berkowitz that no, it's lavdavka white, because the whole nekuda here is it's not white like zayin nekim that we have to have this high level of beer, any amount of dam. It's a different nekuda. L'chayr, again, there's not much explanation. So l'chayr what Ramosha meant is what does the Chavzda mean? The Chavzda says moichlachak, right? So there is at some level pashtas a machlek is going on over here. Is that so? Now let's boil this all down. That l'chayra, and everything here is l'chayra because not that much explicit over here. Is that the HaVest das is a very real shita. The Pischei Tshuva gives a lot of credence, but it's one thing is clear from all the achronim that it doesn't seem like the 100% halacha l'maisa is the HaVest das. Seems like even in Ramosha, what was the lashon of Ramosha? That you're marviach l'das the HaVest das. What are we marviach? Yes or no? Shimon Eider is saying that Ramosha had a chap. What's marviach? Or do you need it or do you not need it? So it seems like what's going on over here seems like when all the dust settles is that la halacha we have a vesheini kavua. We have a chiv bedika. What is a chiv bedika? We have to be mervayer. We have to try to get some level of beer that the entire aina there was no blood. How do we get that entire level of beer? Either by, and now it seems like the halacha is to do, let's call it two bedikas, one at the beginning and one at the end. It seems like there's a chazon ish that's going to tell you lemaisa one's going to be enough. Now we understand where that potentially could have come from with this ga'inus of Rav Shmuel Felder teaching us that the nekuda is that dam would have came, dam could have come, etc., etc. However, what about the HaVest das? What about the Pischei Tshuva? We want to do something, and va'oid, we have to add. It's very sensible, right? That women see throughout anytime throughout the day. So they're saying to be marviach that, put on a pair of underwear, put on a pair of white underwear. But now we're going to come like you were to say, no one in the world was ever taught that. So maybe the answer is because very good, because everyone wears underwear. So even though it's going to be colored, if there's going to be dam, you're going to see the dam, and then you're going to do a bedika, and everything's going to be fine. Where does the two bedikas come from? L'chayr, to be designed to get the whole day, the beginning at the end. That's the pashtus what's going on over here. Now, when to do the two bedikas comes out to be also a big problem over here, because if it's a daytime vest, okay, very good. Do one in the morning when you wake up, and do one before shkia. Everything is good and dandy. What if it's a nighttime vest? It's a nighttime vest. The whole point of the two bedikas is to get the whole aina. So what are we doing over here? So what are you doing? You're going to do one at shkia, and the second one what? You have to set your alarm for Neitzachama, wake up and do bedika. No one has ever heard of that. So what all the achronim say, and this is I think what everyone is taught, is that you do one bedika at shkia and one bedika before going to sleep, and then you're going to be sleeping in there for your mekayim. When you wake up, it's the next aina.
You're right, it's the next aina, but it's still mavara.
Oh, so it's good. There are those. That's very nice. Very nice that you're saying that. I was at some yeah. Yeah. So there are those who want to speak out that. No.
Is there, I think this is also the Rav says to wear white, right?
Rav says to wear white, correct. That's what he's talking about. Is it dafka unclear? Very good. No, I like what Nachum Dave is saying. Is that I'll read you the Ramosha and Ramosha says that to wear, meaning he's really coming to answer this question. You're right. I'm sorry. Thank you for pointing that out. Ramosha is coming to say at nighttime we have an extra issue, because at nighttime what I just said doesn't really fully work. Because very good. Because you do one bedika at shkia, you do one bedika when you go to sleep. She went to sleep at 8:30. She has another 8 hours of nothing. So what are you going to say? You're going to say, oh, so if there's dam, she'll see it. Where's she going to see it? She's not going to do another bedika when she wakes up, if she's not doing another bedika. So this is really where Moshe says, Ve'itza toiva shel tilbush begelovin asamach behidur gyafa legufa kol oisa aina v'koidem ashena afilu ma'achar ayoyim tivdik b'churnu v'stakim, and then you're going to be yitza zayin everything. It is true there are achronim that speak out that when you wake up, l'chayra, she should do a bedika as well. So I believe let's try to say halacha l'maisa. Yeah, before we get there.
If everyone's taught too, it's still never so where that comes from. We can make up a long list, but no one says that.
No, it's coming from fakir. No, the opposite. It's a mitzi. It's a mitzi mechavei. No. They're all saying two. No. Ramesha is saying two. Ramesha is saying two and underwear. Two and underwear, or one plus underwear. Where they're getting two from is the fact that the Shulchan Aruch says tivdaik, the HaVest says maich. We're the mitzias of the HaVest. So what are we doing here? To just say one bedika, where does that come from? But no one does white underwear. Shkoyach. No one's doing that. No one in the world is doing that. Now you want to know why not? Okay, fine. Maybe that should be the mahalach. You're asking a very good question. It is true. I am to commiserate with what's bothering you. And I would have thought that the appropriate way of teaching it, when all the dust settles, I would have thought that what you should do is if it's on the Yom HaVest, you should do a badika and wear white underwear. That's what I would have thought. LMI, maybe someone's going to be nervous, so I would have said, okay, fine. So wear a white pad. Meaning, do something like that, or wear colored, or light colored, so I see what's going on. That's what I would have thought. It is true. I'll read you the most.
Nervous of what? I don't understand.
What do you mean, nervous? No, we're nervous that she sees anytime throughout the day. So one bedika is not giving me any level of beer. The whole point of bedika is to be a HaVest, is to be mavayir that there was no dam, there is not going to be dam, but was a mavayir that. Now, I'll just read you what the Sefer Al Sarah, I'm sorry, just 1 second, we'll get to your question in a second, which just really further what you're saying, Sefer Al Sarah, this is just, I think, the most contemporary, accepted Hilchos Nida Sefer, which again in the front he literally has us come that the Gedolei Poskim and Lakewood said this is mamish the Messiah. So what it said is real. Livdik is also beis pa'amim b'chur nisaki k'mo b'dikis al zainikim b'dukis elu yesh lasei samach l'tchilas einav v'samach l'seifa shem einis vasta b'yayim strich livdik is also b'dika achas b'shachar zachan nitzachama k'shekam mitasa b'dika achas sam l'shkiya v'mois vasta b'layda strich livdik is also b'dika achas b'tchilas einav b'dika achas k'nam nitzachama omnam ein b'chuyavim. That's exactly what he writes, nothing but underwear. So you know what I think the answer is? Well, because someone suggests what the answer here is? Everyone's wearing underwear. So you don't have to tell anyone to wear underwear. So it's catch-22, and l'chayr, it's a chumr, not a kula. L'chayr, what's going on over here is that the achroinim are taking on to do two bedikas, because with some that we're nervous about the HaVest, some levels we're nervous about the whole day. Great, they're wearing underwear. It's not white, who cares? The whole point is just to make sure there's no blood. And even without saying it, that's a lot of times the chachma and a lot of these farm is to understand that we're talking about normal people. Now you want to know, wait, but maybe this woman doesn't sleep with underwear and we should tell her to sleep with underwear. Okay, for that, we're No, again, I'll say it slowly in 1 second, but maybe she doesn't sleep with underwear. Okay, none of this is likuva, right? This is levels. Okay, so let's put everything in order and go a little bit weiter. The halach l'maisa is what? As follows. V'shein kavua, bedika b'yom HaVest. Let's just parenthetically point out what we started in the beginning, just to put it in the right place. Over yom HaVest v'lei badka, muteris. Which in a moment we're going to get to the $1 million question. Which we get to the $1 million question. Over yom HaVest v'lei badka, muteris. Okay, how many bedikas yom HaVest? It seems the correct thing to do is 2 bedikas to get the whole day. We already have precedents for this in the world of Zayin Nikiyim. That also is the din of bedika on each day of the vest. Each day of the Zayin Nikiyim, and the halacha there is 2 bedikas a day. However, together with those 2 bedikas a day is you're wearing underwear. Beautiful. If there's something on your underwear, you're going to notice it. Do you have to check? Do you have this? No. It's there to ensure there is not going to be a problem. Chavra, what are we worried about? We're looking for her period. We're not looking to see if she epispotted and she has a dot of blood. That's not the nekuda here. The nekuda here is it's her Yom HaVest, it's her day she's going to see her period. So yes, if she sees her period, she's going to notice it. Lemaisa, a woman who has difficulty doing bedikas, bivadai, there is a makom to be makel to do 1 bedika. That is 100% for sure. The Chazon Ish says you could do 1 bedika. Tzitz Eliezer says you was chayzer, and that's what he holds lemaisa. The Kleisenberger, what? Sorry. Where to do the 1? That's a good question. You have place can say it both ways. Yeah. I don't have an opinion. probably as early as possible, because we know that it's all tali in the hilach of al-chama. It's all tali in the sun. And if there was there, then it would cause it to come. But of course, there's also a theory to say, no, maybe do one at the end of the day, because then if she did see a dot of blood, you say, and also, by the way, let's all remind ourselves back of Kuf Pei Gimel. If a woman in the world of Daraisa, of the 5 conditions of Nidus, if a dot of blood falls and it's staying in her Beis HaRechem, staying in her Beis HaChitzon, she's still in need of Daraisa. We're looking for that blood. That is what we're looking for. Meaning, of course, if she has her period, we're going to know about it. But maybe there was one dot of blood. It's her day that she's supposed to see. Maybe there was one dot that fell down. It's sitting there in the Beis HaChitzon. And now the Bedikos is going to find that dot of blood and everything will be fine. So what's the $1 million question? You have a question? Yes.
So it comes out a woman can do 4 Bedikos in one day?
How do you get 4?
It's just the day and night best, meaning best in the Azura, for example?
Oh, we didn't talk about Azura. So far, good. So far, you're asking a very good question.
Or you can do 2 them.
No, he's saying in a 24-hour period. He's saying you could have 4.
One day, because in the morning,
Yeah.
right after shkir, right before you go to bed.
All right, night and day. Yeah. He's saying. Okay, but you're saying Azura. Good. We jumped. One second. What's the question? We jumped. So far, all we said, we did Ves Kavua. We did Ves Einay Kavua. What do we mean by Ves Einay Kavua? We mean Yom HaChodesh. We need Ves Haflaga. We have never mentioned yet our Zarua, etc. Yes. Because it's both. It's the dual concern. You're right. It's not going to help as much as the HaVest wanted, that you literally know on every single dot. But it's going to help that if something falls, you're going to know it. Same thing. Well, why we're just explaining why we're not teaching it. We're just explaining because everyone's wearing underwear anyways, and therefore there's no problem. Okay, let's continue. So what's the $1 million question? Okay, so the $1 million question is Tachlis. A woman is staining. It's her Yom HaVest. Does she have to do Bedikos? Tachlis. Choose your poison. Eine Benes. Why is she staining? Good question. For the, okay, that's obviously going to be the worst. You just went for the gold. We said in a case a woman is staining and good. She's staining and it comes to Yom HaVest. And the most common application, again, to answer your question, you're right. It's the gold. You're right. It's the jackpot, but it's completely irrelevant to us, really, because if it's premenstrual staining, as you so eloquently coined it, that means it's premenstrual. That means it means her period is coming. It's worse because, first of all, many hold that at that point, anyways. Whatever. Vaid, she for sure cannot be with her husband regardless. No. That's a shayla. But let's say not. Even still not. You're not going to be together with your husband. So the only shayla you're handling is al tzchibuk v'nishuk. So it's really not, that's not really the $1 million shayla. The $1 million shayla is going to be an IUD. There's going to be an IUD. Put in an IUD, and she. What's wrong? Again, comes day 28. Well, let's just go 28 for a moment. Goes 28. She has it's her Yom HaFlaga, and she wakes up that morning and she realizes there's a stain on her blue underwear. What does she do? So not a kes that's a tamer. So now the answer is, what do you mean? It's Yom HaVest to Bedika. The question is, then she's going to be tummy, and maybe the story is she's on a birth control pill. And the reason why she's staining is because of the pill. Maybe she put an IUD in, and the reason she's staining is because of the IUD. And to do a bedika right now, all we're going to do is make her tummy. To make it worse, she's going to be tummy, and she will never, she's going to be tummy for if it's an IUD, let's say she put an IUD in, she stayed, which, by the way, this is probably every scenario of an IUD, if you're thinking, because the mitzvah of an IUD is that it causes staining for many women. Okay. And when are they putting the IUD in? When she's tahar. Great. So they put in the IUD at day, 15. Comes 15 days later, she's staining. It's her Yom HaVest. What does she do? She does a bedika. She's tummy. She's tummy for how long? Forget about it. She's not becoming tahar for 3, 6, 9 months. 9 months. Because why? Because her body, that's the mitzvah of an IUD often is that they stain. And even if it's not a stain every single day, meaning it's enough time that they could be together, meaning if they would be tar, they could be together in between, but you're definitely not going to get Zayin Kiyam. That's the big question. So what do you do here? So I would like to read an email that was sent to Rabbi Berkowitz. Now, why we're jumping? Like we just went from Shulchan Aruch all the way to the Rishiv of Isha Torah and the Rosh Kollel of Jerusalem Kollel. Like, well, what just happened? The answer is that in text, I don't know what to tell you. You have your HaVest, you have a Chiyuv Bedika, So let me read you an email, okay? Question, and I'll be makdim. This is an email. The way you could send him emails, he responds, and he knows that the emails are seen by the public. Meaning, just especially as you see as how he responds, something in every tshuva sefer, you always have to wonder, if they take the tshuva out of Rav Elyashiv's garbage can, did he want the Welt to know about that? Meaning, it doesn't mean he didn't believe in it, but there's different levels. There's different levels, as we always talk about Ramesh's Tshuvas. So I'm just pointing out that this is something that he knows that we're all sitting here and hacking it. That's, again, it's not going to be a psak halachos, and open our minds a little bit. If a woman has an IUD and is spotting, upon reaching her Aina Beinanis, can she skip the Bedika and wait until she stops spotting to do it? Would it matter if it took her 2 months to get clean last time? Okay? This woman had the IUD, obviously put in when she was tamei. Took her 2 months to get clean. Now she's spotting, comes in a beinis, and she's in tears. She calls up the Rav and says, "If I'm tamei now, it's over for 2 months." And her husband is nachamol in tears, or he's the only one in tears. Okay, so now what's the answer? Says the Rebbe. What's the in bold? I don't think he bolded it. I think after he bolded it, doesn't make a difference. What's the heter question mark? She's being mevatel a chiyuv dira banan. L'chayr, that's the answer. What's the answer? You have a chiyuv d'rabbanan to do a bedika. And he continues. If there was a daya that held she doesn't have to do a bedika, okay. If there was a daya, if there was an opinion that held she doesn't have to do a bedika, okay. We would rely upon it b'shas adchak. But there is none. Yes, there are dayas that hold that she missed the bedika. It won't ruin her cheskes tahira. But no one says that Chazal were not machayiv a bedika. Period. He's not done yet. Don't get nervous. Parenthetically, I comment, there are dayas, right? We pointed out there's a Beis Yosef. The answer is, and you were getting a limud. Number one, he's talking about Benis. Very good. Thank you very much. Number two is not every shit that's rishonim that's not brought anywhere lahalacha is something you can rely upon b'shas adchak. But the answer l'chayr is Aina Benis. Here we go. If it helps, this is what he says. First, eights number one. She can push off day 30 until the Vesta Chodesh, if your brain's working, which would help for 1 day on the month that the Vesta Chodesh falls in day 31. Because the Shach says that's Aina Beinis, nice chap. When we learn Aina Beinis, remember this, it's a nice idea. But that doesn't help us. Leave it. If we don't learn Aina Beinis, you know what we're talking about. I'll explain it very quickly. It's 30 or 31. Good. Shach says 31. We, l'chayra paskin, it's 30. In this case, they're asking about day 30. Day 31 is her Yom HaChodesh, which is her Aina Beinis according to the Shach. So therefore, Reb Berkowitz is saying, if it's going to help to wait till tomorrow, we can do that. But it might not be. Some cases will be enough. In order. No. But it could be, in this case, 8 to number 1 is, wait till tomorrow and call me back. Maybe tomorrow. The way the mitzvahs of staining is that it's a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster. So it could be tomorrow, maybe. Okay. But now he points out something, a mitzvahstic beauty. He says, however, if she is within 2 years of a baby, parenthetically, which the majority of women that use IUDs are, close parentheses, there are deists that say she's a mesulekes damim even nowadays, and therefore there's no anabenis. Now we didn't learn this, but this is a shita that's out there, and what we're doing right now is we're saying, okay, la halacha, you have a chiyuv bedika, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do. If there are other shitas, maybe we'll talk about it in a moment. However, says Berkowitz was something beautiful, but wait 1 second, what's the case? She gave birth 6 months ago? So even if she's not nursing, and even if she's lamaisa bleeding, as we're seeing, there are shitas that hold that she's a din of misulekes damim, and if she's a din of misulekes damim, there is no aina beinanis. So therefore, we could be makel on that shita. He says there are also days that say a musulakis that sees once or twice, doesn't have to keep certain vestas, shasat chak, we'll rely upon it, whatever. Closes the email. In all cases, first call up Ta'arenu and find out how to stop the spotting. Okay, very nice. What are we pointing out from this wonderful email? Very important. The pashtos is, if there's nothing else that stama yudi she's spotting, she has to do bedika. She has to do bedika. What can I tell you? If there are other mitigating factors, which often there are, we said an earlier factor, What was that? She's pregnant. That's another factor. She's on birth control. That's another factor. She's an IUD. That's another factor. Oh, before Makkah. We're going to get to Makkah in a moment. So if there are other mitigating factors that when we learn Kuf Pei Tes, when we learn Vestais, we're going to have to see how do Vestais work with these mitigating factors. And even if we might paskin that we're still chayshish for Vestais, we have to be aware. That's already a sugya that we have something to rely upon. So that is the easy mahalech to help this person. What about a makkah? Could be there are those that will say that if it's a makkah, then also she won't have to do a bedika. She won't have to also do bedika. Because, meaning, how do you know it's a makkah? The only way you knew it was a makkah is that she went to Bedikos. Yeah. Sometimes, I didn't mention that sometimes even a woman who's staining a Bedikos could get a clean bedika. That is true, but in a woman that's staining often that's not true. Because if she's staining, then there's blood everywhere. But it does help is in case of one with a makkah. In case of one with a makkah, then perhaps yesh ladin. And obviously, this sugya gets a little more broad if it's a vashe'ena kavua. It's vashe'ena kavua. Now, it's still the same chiyav derabanan, but number one is we already have shitas maybe to rely upon. Maybe we already have shitas to rely upon. As we quoted the Beis, if we quoted this some Rishonim v'Achrayim. Va'id, we know that if she misses it, she's going to be mutter, and with that, we will leave it. That is basically, there's one last detail we have to discuss, which is, what else do we not discuss in Siftas? The Prisha. So in the last few minutes, just to give you some names and faces, the Prisha is Rechitza B'Yem HaVest. Now this is something that we're going to have to come back to. That's the real reason that we're not going to really delve too deep into this. I was happy that Ilam got into it, but really when we get to Kuf Sadi Vav, when we get to Zayin Nikiyim, we're going to have to go back, because it's the same sugya, right? Just everyone should remember that. Whatever we're learning now about Bedikos B'Yem HaVest is Alpi Pashtus, the same sugya as Kuf Sadi Vav, Zayin Nikiyim. Zayin Nikiyim is a Chiv Bedika. Chayv Ziv, obviously, is the Chiv Prisha, she's an Ida. So, what is the story? So, there's a Prisha that says if she washes herself, then game over. Nothing else we could do. She obviously washed away the blood. It's over. Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, very normative halacha. B'toich hazman, rachsa atzma, shov, loy, mahani, la, bedika, v'yesh lahachmer, lahachzik, es atzma, temeya. That's it. Finished. Says the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. You're living in Europe. Woman happened to, that was her day of the month that she got the bath. She went, she used the bath. She forgot to do a bedika beforehand. It's all over. The Achrayim say number one is certainly if she does a bedika beforehand, that's going to, number one, save the day. But still, says the Shevet HaLevi, lechatchila lo yitirchais the entire day. Don't take a bath the entire day. As we mentioned, don't go swimming the entire day. Why? Again, because we're looking that this day is the day she's normal to see blood, and you might just wash it away. Don't go swimming the entire day. Any Yom HaVest.
And she remembers it's her Yom HaVest.
Okay, obviously, b'diavad we're not going to ask her. But yeah, correct. Normal from woman knows that her Yom HaVest is on Tuesday, and she wants to go swimming. Says the Shevet HaLevi, l'chatchila lo yitirchais. B'diavad after lahakel, says the Rav Yashiv is quoted as saying do a bedika first. Rav Chotshani says similarly, as you all saw, batka kaidem rachitza, and that is l'chayra for the oina beinanis. Some of you said v'asheina kavua. There are paiskim that speak out on v'asheina kavua will be more forgiving. And Kamat, all the achrayim say that when it comes to a shower, we don't have this concern. Because what's the whole concern? The whole concern is that you're going to wash away the blood, you're going to miss it. In a shower, we don't really have that concern. Why not? For a very simple reason, that if the blood comes, you're going to see it. And l'chayr, that's the halacha. I'm going to leave this a little sarchi, and I don't really know why no one teaches this. I don't really know. Kimat all the Achrayim are saying that by Naina Beinanis, L'chatchila, you have to either not bathe or do a Bedika beforehand, right? So I don't really know. I don't know. I don't know why. This is a very normal thing to teach, right? No one here really. We saw. I think it's in the other one. I think we saw. Okay, good. So I was thinking, very good. It could be. It's just true that if you did the bedika, you're gonna be, you may be machmir. It's true. It's true. I don't know. I don't know if it has to be right before. The That's not what I read. I read you the Rav Yashiv. Bainis of Achsha Botka Atzma, Mutter Leretz Rachis Bambatya, Filu Bachamin. I don't know, maybe that's the answer, but it is important to know, once we finished and we learned that the Chazon Ish says one Badik is enough, you have to be careful. If you're going to end up doing one Badik at the end of the day and going swimming in the middle of the day, shtickle shver.
Is a bath and shower the same thing?
No. So it's not the same thing, because a shower, the chayra.
Bath also. Bath is still water.
No, first of all, no. It's not true. Once there's a little bit of soap in the water, one dot of blood, it's just going to dissolve and go everywhere. Yeah. Go cut your finger and go try. What? Yeah, for sure. Of course. You see it. No. Yeah. Again. Okay. Listen, I hear you. The Chaver wants to be machmir. If Shem Zalman says lin rachitza b'meklachas ein machmirin, part of the reason over here is there is I think it was a bach that says part of the vart is the warm water. Anyone see that the warm water, that it's a vart that the warm water brings on the blood? No, not chim of tashmish.
That's what you should be allowed,
No, for care.
That's a bdika.
No, then you can lose it. It says it somewhere. Okay, we will get there. And we will get there, and we're basically out of time. The last detail that I'm going to throw out to the Eilam is here. There is a Rav Yashiv that says that, let me read you this Rav Yashiv. Again, it's quoted, it's all b'shmai, but it's definitely words of a gadol. Let me just read this. This is about the whole Makkah sugya we just spoke about. And this is really, it's like a sugya line, how to deal with this. Isha she'ish la Makkah. Okay, it's in the Sefer Mishnah's Shulchan Tshuva Chavches and Levushei Ois. So they say it's false. Isha is a makkah motzi adam b'isa makkah. What do we have? 1 more minute? Perfect. Im tamid margisha ksheba hadam v'aver veslo gisha. If she usually has argasha and she doesn't have argasha, then fine. We could be saying on that. I feel best kavu. That's not the point. Here it is. Ubizmanenu. One last line, Chaver. I know it's long. Ubizmanenu she'enoi margisha. She doesn't feel, right? We know we don't have her gushes. Listen to this one. Alma shetomid kishemagia hadam magia b'shefa. When blood normally comes, it comes b'shefa. V'kivon she'achshav loy ba b'shefa sagi b'kinuach ba'alma. So they quote Rav Yashiv as saying that if a woman with a makot, she can't do a bedika, since normally on her Yom HaVest, if she is having her period, it would come, she would see it. So bisagi b'kinuach. Now, obviously, this is difficult because. What do you mean? No, I don't understand the question. Yeah, same shayla. That's why I just wanted to end off with this idea. The reason why it's difficult is because everything we're talking about is to find if there's one dot of blood. It's not just to see if the whole thing we're worried about is that she's pushing a fire hydrant. I think you know about that. So it's a little bit difficult, but maybe ulay avshir echem and a gedolim that says such a thing. And the reason why it's important to know is because of Vesha Eina Kavua, as we mentioned. Maybe this is one of the reasons why there are different shmuas out there. That maybe there are rabbanim, though Rabbi Berkowitz did say very violently to dinder rabban and how can be mekel. Maybe this is part of a potential pesach to the sugya.